Everybody's been excited to hear about the retreat. So before I start to post those videos, I wanted to provide just a little bit of background. Let's start at the very beginning. I took French in high school because that was the course that I decided to take to satisfy my language requirement. A little bit about me, I'm gonna go against the grain. If everybody's taking Spanish, then I'm gonna take French. I took French and German, so okay. So I took French and I absolutely loved it. I fell in love with the French language at that moment, and I don't even know how to fully describe it. It feels like it was just like a part of me. I've never done an ancestry DNA test, but I feel like I got a little Nigerian, but there's somewhere in there that's probably got some Senegal or something like that, a French speaking country in Africa or somewhere else that is in my blood, because the way I loved the French language is crazy. And so high school, I took French. College, I took French. In college, my junior year, I almost changed my major or added French as a double major. The only reason that I didn't is because that it was going to cause me to graduate late, which at this point now I'm like, ugh, who cares? Also in college, I went to the foreign student, whatever that office is, to study abroad. To this day, if you ask me, one of my biggest regrets in life is that I did not study abroad in college. That's how much I loved French and loved the foreign language. Fast forward, I graduated from college, decided to re-enroll in a different college to study French full time. Got in there, was overwhelmed, like I had to start working, and dropped out. So I dropped out of college the second time. Then I start working, but at the back of like, if I have a bucket list, learning French, being fluent in French is always something that's been on that bucket list. At some point, I think, I don't know, maybe a couple of years ago, I got really serious about trying to pursue French. And so I did a search, and somehow I found Miss Jo Franco. If you don't know who Jo Franco is, first of all, you need to look it up. But Jo Franco is a one-of-a-kind human being. I found her through a Pimsleur ad.
Il pleut depuis un mois.
Il pleut depuis un mois. I just loved her personality. It instantly drew me in, and just like, I loved the fact that she was speaking languages, but then she was just like so like personable and just like so inviting. And something about her just like really drew me to her as a person, because I don't know, I felt like I could connect in some ways. And I felt like she's like the type of person that I aspire to be. Like, she is funny, quirky. She speaks multiple languages. She's had a Netflix show. She does such amazing work. Like, basically, she makes her living by traveling, being herself, bringing people together. So that was my introduction to Jo Franco. So I immediately started following her on Instagram and stalking her with a little bit of as much time as I had to be able to stalk her. I'd been following Jo Franco on Instagram for a while. I actually saw a retreat a year ago, around the same time that I decided to do this retreat. And I have a text message where I sent it to my husband and was like, this is something that I really want to do. They were going to Italy at the time. Things just did not align for me to be able to do this. It just didn't work out. I kept that kind of in the back of my mind though, because it just seemed like something, the theme of her retreats a lot of times are transformation. And it was just very much so what I wanted and needed in my life at the time. Fast forward a year later, the retreat comes back up again. And I'm just like, I'm doing it. Let's go back really quickly to me not studying abroad in college. I think it really has turned me into the person that I am today in some ways, because now when stuff comes up, if I can afford it, if I can take the time off, if I can make it happen, then it's happening. I'm doing it, because I don't want to have any more regrets like that. I subscribe to the JoClub newsletter, and so she always sends a heads up when she's about to do her retreats. So this one came up, and I don't know, I might have been the first person to apply, like one of the first people to apply, because I was like, fuck it, I'm doing it. I told my husband about it, but it was like I'm doing this. If I make it, then we'll discuss it later. But for right now, I'm about to do this application. And so I did the application. I feel like it wasn't even long after I did the application, and I got the email back basically saying, welcome, congratulations. And I was like, oh my God. And then, the logistic piece came in, of course, because, anytime that we travel, we have kids, we have to figure out like what that looks like. And so I shared it with Yusuf and was like, hey, I really want to do this. And so we basically agreed immediately that I was going to do it, which was like, okay. So I was paid, I was all these things. When I travel internationally. Most of the time he comes with me usually. And so we tried originally to try to just see if it was possible for him to like kind of tag along and just like sleep in my room. But understandably so, that was not something that we could do. It made sense because it would impact everybody else's experience. And we were kind of like in a very remote area. And so it wasn't going to be as easy as I had thought for him to just get back to the city. And then he started doing his research and looked into it and was like, this looks like something I might benefit from. So through like that conversation and like some other like, you know, encouragement and then just emailing back and forth with Jo and her team, he decided to apply as well and got in. And so it became a joint retreat experience. I went into this retreat with expectations, but not knowing what to expect really. I've never done a retreat like this before. The only types of retreats that I've ever done in the past have been work related. And so it's basically your job flying you out. You know, there are like connection opportunities, but then there's just a lot of work for the company. The difference with this retreat is that the work time was on myself, and it was a very introspective time period, which is, oh my gosh, I 10/10 recommend. JoClub does amazing at picking people. So you have to apply. And I feel like the way that they put the people together, it was just like so perfect. If you decide to do any retreat, it's important to go into it with an open heart, go into it with an open mind, but also try to be present in the moment. And those were the intentions that I set going into it. Like I have my journal where I can write it, where I can show you where I was just like, I just want to be here. I just want to be present in the moment. And so that's what I tried to do. Make sure you hit that subscribe button if you want to stay up to date on this journey, plus so much more coming in the future.